Alright, welcome back. Today we're breaking down another episode of Black Mirror, Common People. The first episode I've covered from the new season, thanks to you guys. Now, Common People begins like the love story everybody dreams of. Waking up in bed in your partner's arms, legs and feet intertwined. This is where we meet Mike and Amanda Waters, and today's their 3rd wedding anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
They're deeply in love, and Mike tries to get some early morning hanky-panky started, but Amanda tells him to save it for tonight. Amanda's a school teacher, and today she's teaching her class about how autonomous drone insects, or ADIs, the same robot bees from Hated in the Nation, help with pollinating flowers. How crazy is it these ADIs are such a necessary and important invention that they're still around after killing almost 400,000 people? I bet they've probably updated their security. The bell rings and all the kids leave except for one. Amanda asks Ava if everything's okay. She says Tisha is bullying her about her hand-me-down shoes she got from her sister since her family can't afford new ones. She says Tisha calls them old, but Amanda flips it and says they're vintage. They tell their own story, and that's what makes them cool.
Okay, I guess so.
Going out of her way to help a little girl feel better about herself, showing how thoughtful and caring of a person she is. One of her co-workers asks her to come out for a drink after work, saying she could really use the moral support, but Amanda can't. She already has plans, and her plans are waiting for her in the parking lot, dressed in lederhosen. He says he found him in the back of her sock drawer. No telling how they got there. Amanda's friend asks if they're going somewhere nice, and Mike immediately replies with,
No,
but it's where they go every year. To Juniper Lodge in Palmer County. It's where they got married, and they've made it a tradition to go back every year on their anniversary. You can tell by the rundown old Volvo they're driving, they aren't swimming in money, but they do well enough to get by. They don't need a huge house or a fancy car. As long as they have each other, they'd argue they're the richest people on earth. They arrive at the Juniper Lodge, and if they haven't made it abundantly clear that they've been here before, Mike says he hopes Phyllis is working the front desk. But Amanda says,
I hope she's not actually.
That night they have dinner with live music and reminisce about Amanda's drunk maid of honor Janice singing at their wedding. Polly brings over their matching Juniper Brat burgers, which sound and look amazing, but I also may have just been hungry when I wrote this. They really are creatures of habit because this is what they order every time they come here, but they're both still impressed by it like it's their first time having it. I wish someone would look at me the way they do those burgers. Just kidding. My wife's the best. She knows that. Mike counts down from 3 and they take the biggest bites they can at the same time. Now that's romance.
Oh, that's dense.
And Amanda jokes she likes it when her food fights back, showing us that while this isn't the best restaurant or the best food, it's not about that. It's about the fun they have together when they're here and the happy memories it brings back. They watch an old couple performing on stage together, envisioning themselves happy at that age. After dinner, they go back to their room and get their bang on. Mike has been waiting for that all day. Amanda's holding her knees, rocking back and forth, really trying to make that baby gravy stick. They've been trying to have a baby since they got married, but they haven't had any luck yet. Mike asks if she's sure she wants to try again, and she says this isn't an official try, but she'd be okay with a happy accident. Mike leans in to give her a kiss, and suddenly she has a really bad headache, which had been happening more frequently as of late. She sits up to rub her head and jokes he's lucky this happened after the sexing, and by the time she asks Mike for her medicine, he's already handing it to her.
Ooh.
A couple weeks later, they're back at home. Mike makes Amanda a cup of coffee and finds her in the extra bedroom looking at the crib they bought. He asks if she's okay, and she says she just got her period. Mike stays positive, saying they'll just try again, but Amanda's having second thoughts, saying they bought the crib too soon. She only got it because it was a good deal, but now she's thinking it might have been bad luck. And after their last miscarriage, she's having doubts on whether she can even get pregnant again. But Mike believes in her.
You can, or my dick will die trying.
They exchange I love yous and Mike leaves for work, where he's a welder. His boss calls him over and asks him to go track down Shane, who is taking too long of a break again. Mike finds him in the break room and tells him to get back to work. But Shane says he just gave some money to this guy online and wants to watch him drink his own pee. It's a site called Dumb Dummies.
On Dumb Dummies, you know about Dumb Dummies?
Where desperate people go online and get paid by viewers to do some pretty twisted stuff. He turns the screen to show a shirtless biker-looking guy named Shitsack55, with dick bag written on his chest, drinking a mug of his own piss.
He's drinking piss.
He really enjoys keeping bags of questionable stuff, sacks of shit and bags of dick. Mike tells him to keep this off the work computer, and Shane goes back outside. But Mike gets one last look at the screen before walking out.
Fucking Americans.
Aw, come on. Meanwhile, Amanda's at school, teaching her class about the sun and how solar panels work. But suddenly she starts to get dizzy, and her words trail off. Her eyes close, and she passes out in front of her class. Mike gets a call at work from the hospital about Amanda, with his boss saying it sounded serious. Mike drops everything, leaves work, and races straight to the hospital. He arrives to find Amanda unconscious, and is told she has a brain tumor in her parietal lobe. But all Mike cares about is if she's going to be okay. But the doctor says the prognosis isn't good. There's a chance she might not ever wake up again.
No.
Mike asks if there's anything they can do, and the doctor says they actually do have one option. There's a brand new startup that has an experimental procedure. However, seeing that it's brand new, there are some risks. The doctor says their rep was just in here, and she'll contact them if he's interested. And he obviously says yes. What other option does he have? Mike sits with Amanda, not wanting to leave her side. And that's when Gaynor. Her name's Gaynor, walks in. But I swear I could do a whole video comparing her to Rolo Haynes. They're literally the same person. Let me know in the comments if that's something you want. Gaynor knocks on the door.
You must be Mike.
She says she works for a company called Rivermind and asks him to join her outside so they can talk. She explains that Rivermind is revolutionizing neurological science. They take an imprint of the affected part of her brain and clone it into their mainframe. They basically make a backup of her brain on their computer. Then they go in, remove the tumor and surrounding tissue, but then Mike cuts her off. This has to be dangerous, right?
Isn't that dangerous?
Normally, yeah, but they made a backup.
Remember?
Then they replace everything they removed with synthetic,
Receiver tissue.
and the Rivermind system transmits cognitive function from their backup on the server. Now this sounds good and all, but if Mike has seen Black Museum like the rest of us, then he knows he needs to ask at least a couple questions. So he asks her if this honestly works and if it's been tested. Gaynor says yeah.
I am living proof.
She shows Mike a picture of her 18 months ago, unconscious in a hospital bed, just like Amanda. She had an accident where she got hit in the head, and it technically killed her, but she was lucky enough to be one of the first Riverminders. Oh my god, I don't know why that term pisses me off, but it does. However, I do have a cool fact to add in here. In an interview, Tracy Ellis Ross, who plays Gaynor, said that she answered all sorts of questions about herself before she started filming to help her better understand the character she was taking on. She says since Gaynor was a beta tester, she received a Rivermind and all the subscription upgrades for free, then became a sales rep and also got kickbacks from the sales. And if you watch as the episode goes on, Gaynor's clothes get fancier and more expensive, but then the colors also get darker, and so does the shade of her lipstick. Like she's slowly becoming consumed by darkness as she makes more money and exploits more desperate people. It's a really cool touch to the character. Gaynor explains without Rivermind, she wouldn't be here right now, making her a great sales rep because who believes in this product more than her? Mike asks if she's
Normal?
Gaynor says yeah. Physically, mentally, she's all there and completely fine. It's like it never happened. Her kids can't even tell the difference.
Do you have children?
Not yet.
But they've been close a couple times. And in her best Rolo impression, she finds this man's weak spot and digs in.
This will give you time.
Mike smiles, and that's when it hits him. He wouldn't just be giving Amanda a second chance at life. It's giving him a second chance at life too. She is his entire life. Without her, he has nothing. And that's where this episode gets me. I love my wife more than anything. I would be so lost without her, there's nothing I wouldn't do to make sure she's okay. And if I were in Mike's shoes, I'd be making the same choices. How could you not? Ugh, God, why'd you guys have to pick this episode? I'm only 12 minutes into this thing so far. Alright, lock in. Gaynor tells Mike there's a couple things he needs to know ahead of time. She's gonna be sleeping 1 to 2 hours more each night. It's one of the ways they help with the demand on the servers. Hold up. Stop right there. That's where I would be asking some follow-up questions. If they're already having trouble keeping up with the demand on their servers, and they just started, it's not going to get better as time goes on and more Riverminders join. It's only going to get worse. She also explains that there's a specific coverage area she has to physically stay within for it to work. Now, while they have most of the state already covered, they plan to roll out nationwide within the next year, and then going worldwide. And then Mike asks the question we're all wondering. How much is this gonna cost?
It's less than you think.
Hold up. Stop right there. Anytime someone doesn't give you a number right away, you should be a little suspicious. Mike says their money's already tight, but Gaynor assures him the pricing is reasonable because they're trying to drive sales. Plus the surgery's free.
The surgery is free.
Of course the surgery's free, because at that point you're stuck. You gotta be a customer for life. But it's based on a subscription model that costs $300 a month. Mike's intrigued. It sounds affordable. But you would think you'd get a contract to sign, saying this is what you get for this price for this long, just like a phone bill or any other subscription service. But we don't see him sign anything.
Okay.
Amanda's surgery goes great, and the surgeon tells Mike he can go in to see his wife, who not too long ago he was told would never wake up again. Is this really happening? He walks in and she's drowsy, but she's awake, and it's really Amanda. Mike can't believe it. It actually worked.
Looking back.
Thanks to Mike, they're both getting a second chance at a happy life together. Amanda says she gets to go home next week, and according to her nurse, she's a miracle.
Fucking miracle.
Mike is so happy to have her back. She is his entire world. On the drive home from the hospital a week later, Amanda goes over the paperwork and is shocked to learn it costs $300 a month, although she's very happy to be alive. But Mike says they'll be fine. He can always pick up extra shifts at work, and they can cancel the trip to Galway to see his dad. Rivermind won't be in Ireland for a little while anyways. They'll make it work. And Mike doesn't want to risk something happening to his wife again, so he's being extra careful and driving 10 miles per hour their entire way home.
And I'm being cautious.
Amanda makes fun of him for being overly cautious, but Mike just replies by saying,
You're so pretty when you're alive.
The next day Mike's alarm goes off, and he wakes up, but Amanda has to sleep longer now. So there's the first downside to Rivermind. They used to love their mornings waking up together, but that's okay because at least she's still alive. A little extra sleep isn't that big of a deal. He checks the calendar and you can see he's picking up all kinds of overtime. At least one day a week, sometimes two. He's even canceled plans in order to pick up extra shifts, like the school ice cream party and a barbecue with the Thompsons. And on top of their regular bills, he's got car service scheduled this month too. But they have a movie date night coming up, and that's what makes it all worth it. And now Amanda is able to go back to work and teach again too, so that's huge. If she wasn't able to work again, that would cripple him. I'm not sure Mike would be able to support them both. It's already tight as it is. Mike is killing himself to make this work. He went from overtime 1 to 2 days a week in September to 3 days a week, and he has no plans outside of work. Nothing to look forward to besides payday. Mike's even having to wake up earlier. His alarm goes off at 6 instead of 7 now, and he looks beat. This isn't sustainable, but what other choice does he have? His wife's survival relies on him making enough money. But it's still not enough though, and now he's waking up even earlier. Do they even get to spend time together anymore? Obviously he's keeping his wife alive, but at what point does the cost outweigh the benefit? It's a really messed up question to ask, but it's something you eventually have to answer. And that's not an easy conversation to have, even if you're only talking to yourself, which everybody does, right? Mike's overtime has now grown to almost every day. He's working himself to the bone. It's getting so bad that he can't even come home from work and have a beer without being reminded they can't afford more until payday. So he puts it back. Dudes can't even have after-work beers anymore. March comes around and Mike is now working overtime 3 to 4 days a week. All he does is work all day, but we haven't seen him complain about it once. If this is what it takes to keep his wife alive, he has no issue with that. He knows what it felt like to have lost her, and he'd rather work himself into the grave before he feels that again. At work one day, he finds Shane, who is watching some guy on Dumb Dummies pull out his own tooth and swallow it. Mike rolls his eyes and walks away, but that seed's been planted. It's now May, and Mike is working overtime almost every single day. He's waking up at 5 a.m. now, and he looks like a zombie. Slowly increasing the hours you work for 8 to 9 months straight has got to take a toll on you. And while he's not showing it, I think there might be a tiny bit of resentment starting to brew inside of him. Having to work so many extra hours while she requires extra sleep would be really hard on anybody. But it's not like she can help it. It's not her choice. And he's the one who agreed to this. But it just sucks because regardless of the price at the time, you just lost your soulmate and you'd give anything to get them back. Whatever the cost, it doesn't matter. Say yes now, we'll figure it out later. And this episode really dives into what that later looks like. Then one day Mike gets home from work late and she's already asleep. If she's going to bed before him now and then waking up after him, they don't get any time together. God, this episode just breaks my heart, and we are not even halfway through. June rolls around and Mike's now working overtime every single day. June 5th is their anniversary, and Amanda looks worn out like she's the one who's been working overtime all year. Hell, she's so tired she forgot their anniversary and didn't even plan anything.
I did, though.
And they're going back to the Juniper just like old times. They'll be able to go away for the weekend, spend some quality time together, celebrate their love, and forget about their normal day-to-day stress. This one weekend together will make all the overtime worth it. Mike's excited, calling it a fun little splurge. But when he turns around, Amanda stops smiling and doesn't seem too thrilled about it. On the drive to the Juniper, Mike's yawning and exhausted from another long day at work. Amanda offers to drive and says he's been taking too many extra shifts. But it's not like he has a choice. They need the money and she can't get a second job because she requires extra sleep. But Amanda gets defensive and says that's not her fault.
I know.
Mike explains that's not what he meant. And Amanda suggests they just turn around and go home. They kinda need the money anyways. Mike reminds her they promised they would do this every year for their anniversary. And on top of that, he needs a break. All he does is work. It would be nice if they could have one weekend together and relax where they don't have to worry about money. But Amanda's only reply is to say that they both work really hard. And this sucks because they're both technically right. They're both giving all they have and it's barely enough for them to get by. That's going to put a lot of pressure on even the strongest relationships. And it's when they're in the middle of this argument about money that they cross over into Palmer County and Amanda suddenly stops talking. She starts to choke, looks up at the ceiling, and then passes out. Mike panics and pulls the car over. Amanda's out cold. He pats her on the face trying to wake her up, but she's completely unresponsive. He puts the car back in drive, turns around, and goes straight to the closest hospital, almost getting into an accident in the process. Suddenly, nothing else matters. Their argument about money seems completely irrelevant. But then they pass back out of Palmer County, and Amanda immediately wakes back up.
What happened?
Scaring the hell out of Mike, and then yells at him for speeding. But Mike looks like he just saw a ghost. He thought he lost his wife again.
Oh my God.
They go back to Gaynor to ask what the fuck that was about, and she condescendingly says, "Wow, that must have been so scary."
Aww.
She tells them there was no malfunction. They just drove outside the coverage area. But Mike says he checked the map before they left and everything was within range. Gaynor says they're in the process of upgrading some of their towers, and the ones in Palmer County are the new ones, before following it up with a sales pitch for Rivermind Plus. It has new extended coverage, which intrigues them both because they could travel. But Gaynor makes sure to mention, yeah, if you upgrade, you can for sure travel. And if you don't, you just stay in your current coverage area, basically trapping you in your current county. But Mike reminds her that when he signed up, she said this was going to roll out everywhere, making it sound like it was included. But why would any business give you something for free if they could charge more for it? Mike asks how much Plus costs, and Gaynor tells him with a straight face it's $500 more per month on top of the $300, so $800 total per month. His jaw drops. Amanda's the first one to speak up and says there's no way they can afford that. They're barely getting by paying $300 a month as it is. And Gaynor says that's fine. They'll just stay on Rivermind Common, and you can continue enjoying the services they have at that current price point. They've got a lot to think about. And this whole conversation just makes me sick. It sounds like you're being upsold on a new cell phone. You forget they're talking about a woman's life here. The dehumanization of this entire process is so unsettling. I bet Michelle Fuller runs this company. Okay, let's pause for a second. What would you do if you were in Mike's shoes? Obviously, you want your wife to get the best, I was gonna say medical care, but that's not even the right word. You obviously want your wife to get the best service. Ugh, that feels so gross. But he's already working as many hours as possible. It's not like he can just go and get a better paying job, and he doesn't have time to learn anything new so he can get a better paying job. What would you do at this point? Let me know in the comments below. Mike and Amanda have been at this for less than a year, and they're already at their wits' end. They had the perfect relationship, and it's crumbling right in front of their faces. This is no way to live. It's not sustainable, and they're both miserable. But they're stuck. The only options are let Amanda die, work yourself to death so you can both live a shitty life, or somehow find a way to make more money than you currently do, and maybe you can be happy again. That's not very promising. Now Amanda is sleeping even longer than usual, and on top of that, she's waking up less rested than before. She says it doesn't feel like real sleep. There's an electronic whistling in her head, and she doesn't dream. Mike offers her coffee to help wake her up, and she says yes. But then she looks up, and
Have you tried espresso grande?
the beans are roasted slow and long for a richer, smoother taste.
Can't say that I have.
But then Amanda replies with,
Can't say that you have what?
like she didn't just ask him a question and then try to sell him on it. But she doesn't remember asking him anything about espresso grande. And when she asks why he brought it up, he says he didn't.
Wait, what?
And that's when Mike's phone goes off. Shane already messed something up at work and he has to leave before Amanda can ask him about the coffee confusion. But we know we just witnessed her very first ad. And it was a subtle one. Subtle but sickening. And something else. This episode came out in April of 2025. When the NFL season started in September of 2025, it was the first year they ever had commercials on Red Zone. I feel like someone high up in the league saw this episode and was like, well, I guess nothing's off limits now. Let's ruin Red Zone. Now, I'm not saying it's related, but I'm also not saying it's not related. These corporate demons are everywhere. At school, Amanda is teaching her students about how bees produce honey, but the second she says the word honey,
Kids love honey.
she snaps into another ad for something called Honey Nugs. She's going on about its natural ingredients, looking off into space as she speaks and the kids are watching,
Honey Nugs from Dita.
soaking it up like the little sponges that they are. It's the exact audience you'd want to advertise to. And fun Easter egg, Honey Nugs are made by Dita. And if you watched season 7 in order, that didn't mean anything the first time you heard it. But Dita is the company Maria and Verity work at in the second episode of the season. Beta Noir. I don't even know how to say it. Beta Noir. Amanda snaps out of her ad and immediately asks the class to name something with honey in it. And that's when Mickey says, Honey Nugs.
Honey what? What are those?
And again, she doesn't remember. Must be a new product. But Mickey repeats the tagline from the ad saying, they're the sweetest way to start your day. Everyone in the class is confused. The bell rings and all the kids leave except for a sad kid named Oscar, who's been more quiet than usual.
You okay?
He says his mom is divorcing his dad because he's always angry, but his dad says it's his mom's fault and Oscar doesn't want to leave. Amanda listens and offers him some supportive advice before snapping into another ad. This time it's a Christian-based family counseling service.
Visit Christ'sHeart.com.
And poor Oscar, hoping to get advice from the teacher he trusts, just says,
Okay.
and walks away. This is so sick. And I know they made Amanda a teacher on purpose because her advertising to children is just twisted. They're so impressionable and they clearly trust her. So they're gonna believe anything she says, from eating Honey Nugs to getting Christ-based family counseling. It also shows that Rivermind is spying on her at all times, listening to all her conversations, just looking for places they can try to slip an ad in. And as we've seen, there's no time or place that's off limits. Worst of all, she doesn't even know what's happening. She snaps into a trance and recommends products she's never used to people who trust her opinion. That's dark, man. Mike gets home from work late. He's had a long day and Amanda's up waiting for him. As he gets in bed, she asks if he's too tired to try and make a baby.
Fuck no.
Mike and Amanda start making sweet love, only for her to whisper an ad into his ear for Thirst Trap Lube.
Thirst Trap Lube.
Available in 6 flavors.
None of them vanilla.
Mike asks her why she's talking about lube, but Amanda has no idea what he's talking about.
I didn't say that.
And this weird confusion completely ruins the mood for Mike. As he turns around, Amanda sits straight up in bed like the Undertaker. She's staring at the wall and starts spitting out another ad, this time for ED medication, which is both rude and not the root of the problem here. But now Mike's realized what's happening.
What?
And the next morning, they go back to Rivermind for answers. Gaynor proudly tells them, yeah,
That's a commercial message.
like it's completely normal to run ads through human beings without their knowledge. Gaynor says it's something they're trialing as an evolution to their service, and the way she talks just makes my skin crawl. She says Amanda must be one of their test cells, and Amanda's pissed. It's like they're giving her commercial fucking Tourette's. Gaynor says they're designed to be less intrusive than normal ads, which is why they try to slip them into relevant conversations, with Mike pointing out exactly what I was thinking. That makes it worse. People don't realize they're being advertised to, and she doesn't realize she's spitting out an advertisement. They ask if there's any way to opt out, and of course we all know what the answer is.
Upgrade.
Upgrade to Rivermind Plus, which they can't afford.
You people are sick.
The next day at school, Amanda is in the hallway and runs a Foot Locker ad to Ava, the same little girl who was already self-conscious about her shoes and was getting bullied for it. And now Amanda bullied her, with a smile on her face. She's pulled to the side by the school's principal, telling her that a parent complained about Amanda recommending Christian family counseling to her son.
Listen, she's pissed.
That's when Amanda realizes she's been running ads to her class without knowing. But she can barely finish that thought before snapping into another ad.
Feeling over the hill?
This time it's for a dating app called Silver Swans,
There's hope for you.
designed exclusively for people over 50.
I'm 49. What the fuck are you talking about?
At home, Amanda tells Mike about her ad issues at school, and if she can't get it under control, she's gonna lose her job. She can't just be blacking out and promoting ads to kids willy-nilly. And Mike points out if she loses her job, they might not even be able to cover the cost of the Common subscription. They're literally talking about her life, and using the term subscription just feels so dehumanizing and gross. But Mike, being the loving husband he is willing to do whatever it takes, and he'll figure something out. He'd do anything for her.
I'll do something.
Later that night, when Amanda's asleep, Mike takes his laptop downstairs into the office with an empty cup in his hand. He sits down at the desk and weighs his options. At this point, he's only got one left. He puts on a black rabbit mask and logs into Dumb Dummies. Now, the black rabbit mask wasn't on accident. It actually has some pretty cool symbolism to it. It represents a journey into the unknown and embracing one's shadow self while going through a deep transformation. It also represents the Playboy logo, so there's that. He's not sure he wants to do it, but he does need stupid money. The next morning, Mike walks into the kitchen burping with an empty glass, and Amanda wastes no time popping off an ad for
Deep Loads Gummies.
which now include THC. Mike calls Gaynor to ask if she got his payment, and she assures him Amanda should be switching over to Rivermind Plus any second now. In the meantime, she tries to sell Mike on something else, but he's like,
Fuck no. Hey, babe.
Amanda's back, and ad-free, which you could technically twist into saying that it pays for itself somehow, because now she can work again, and as long as she's ad-free, she has a job. But also, what the fuck did Mike do on Dumb Dummies to make $500 in one night? Mike tells Amanda he had some extra money from working so much overtime and was able to upgrade her to Rivermind Plus. And on top of no more ads, they also don't have any more location restrictions. They can travel again. So Mike says next anniversary, they're going back to the Juniper and he'll make sure they can afford it. They embrace and Mike burps again. But how much pee did he have to drink to make $500 in one night? That's still not enough soap, Mike. Amanda returns to school and tries to apologize to Oscar for what she said during her ad break, but he says he's not supposed to talk to her or listen to her anymore. She was the most caring teacher ever, and because of something she had no control over, her students no longer trust her. That's gotta be tearing her apart. That night, Mike's back on Dumb Dummies, and on top of his mask, he's also using a voice changer to hide his identity. He goes by the name Happy Eater. He's already got 42 followers, and 118 people currently watching him live. He's got a $60 goal to put his nose into a mouse trap, but Fear Ferret 9's freaky ass wants him to put it on his dick, and then they want him to remove his mask. I don't know if he realizes it yet, but he's trying to please an audience that can't be pleased. They're always just gonna want more. And of course, that's when he's notified that his Rivermind Plus payment's due. He's gonna have to do a lot more than sticking his nose into a mouse trap to pay for this. He says for $90, he'll put the mousetrap on his tongue, and Reverse Fart instantly pays the $35 needed to see it. So Mike snaps his tongue with a mousetrap to keep his wife ad-free for another month. The next morning, he wakes Amanda up after she's been sleeping for 12 hours. Mike's talking like he's got some tongue trauma going on.
What's wrong with you?
He says he bit his tongue.
Why am I sleeping longer?
The two of them go back to Rivermind so they can ask Gaynor why Amanda's sleeping so long. They're on Rivermind Plus now. This shouldn't be happening. But deep down, we already know it's not a mix-up. Every decision Rivermind makes is malicious. And Gaynor confirms this. They increased sleep time on their latest firmware update. I couldn't even imagine having my livelihood and well-being in the hands of some tech company. You have no power over your own life. And if you can't afford their ever-increasing subscription fee, they'll make you sleep all day, and the little time you're spent awake, you'll be vomiting ads to the people closest to you. But nobody thinks about that when their loved one just died and you tell them there's a chance you could bring them back from the dead. It's just a dark, predatory business model. Rollo would love working here. Gaynor tries to flip this obvious downgrade in service by saying everyone can use some extra sleep, but Amanda says she's not waking up feeling rested at all. It's not like normal sleep. She's always tired, and she looks like shit. I mean, no offense, still obviously beautiful, but she looks like she hasn't slept in days, weeks even. But Gaynor says that's completely normal. She's in sleep mode.
Sleep mode?
Yeah.
Meaning while she's in sleep mode, the servers are using her brain to help power the servers. Gaynor also lets them know this is still way better than Rivermind Common. She'd be sleeping 16 hours a day with ads.
Or you could move up.
Saying Rivermind Plus is now Rivermind Standard, and while it's still better than Rivermind Common, it's nowhere near as good as their newest offering, the ultra premium Rivermind
Lux.
Hey babe. I talk about how much I love you in here, so I might put that in. She turns on an infomercial with a blonde woman who died during liposuction, explaining the new perks. It heightens all your senses, which you can control on the new Rivermind app. But the craziest part? Since all the users are connected to the same server, you can now use skills and attributes sourced from other users, like parkour.
If I could have you back over here.
All for the low price of an additional $1,000 per month. I love how they don't even mention the real price, just the increase, because that makes it sound like a lower number. But if I take my shoes off real quick, I can add this up. That's $1,800 a month. Mike slams his head on the desk and Gaynor tells him to be careful, because she cares about his well-being. Amanda says they can barely afford what they're paying now, but in an attempt to completely drain the pockets of their clients, Gaynor informs her they now offer boosters. So you can now buy the Lux package in hour or day increments, and you're not stuck with the monthly plan. You know, for like special occasions. But Amanda's not hearing it, and she walks out. Mike stays behind just long enough to ask how much the booster packs cost. He's got their anniversary circled on the calendar, and he wants to make it extra special for Amanda after the tough year they've had. The only thing standing between him and that is money. He can't work any more hours. In his mind, he only has one option that he knows works: dumb dummies. He says no to the first few ideas, but then Crap Stallion offers him $500 to take his mask off. And Mike thinks about it. This could be the easiest money he's ever made, but it could also cost him the most. There's no coming back from that. The internet's forever, and he knows that, but he's still debating on doing it because he needs that money to keep his wife alive and ad-free. He says fuck it, it's worth the risk. Mike takes his mask off and reveals his face, using his left hand with his wedding ring, because that's who he's doing it for. Then he puts on a crazy red glove and he's ready to get dark. Their anniversary weekend finally arrives, and here comes the test.
All good?
Yep.
Amanda's free to roam. Mike tells her to open the glove box, where he has a gift card for 12 hours of Rivermind Lux waiting for her.
You're gonna have a very good time.
Amanda tells him there's no way they can afford this, but Mike tells her it's just for one weekend. He wanted to make sure she enjoyed it.
Thank you.
That night they activate the card, and the first thing they do is dial up Amanda's pleasure. She's loving it, and Mike's loving that she's loving it. It makes everything worth it. It even makes Mike's hands feel extra nice. Amanda is currently experiencing life on another level. They get their juniper burgers, and she takes a huge bite before Mike can even finish their traditional countdown. Mike takes a bite and laughs, saying it's still horrible. But Amanda's eyes are almost rolling into the back of her head. She's experiencing so much pleasure. She says it's amazing. Rivermind Lux has her taste buds twisted. And Mike's feeling kinda left out. The whole idea behind the fun of this place is that they were having the same bad experience together, which they could both laugh about. But now Amanda's having the time of her life. The same old couple from before starts playing music. Mike tries to joke about how bad they are, and without saying a word, Amanda stands up and walks toward the stage, still chewing her tough-ass burger she swears is delicious. She's mesmerized by their music. It's the greatest thing she's ever heard. They get back to the room, and it's Mike's turn to benefit from her boosted pleasure. But she's enjoying herself so much it feels fake and exaggerated to him, so he can't enjoy it. He asks if they can dial it down, like literally on the app. But Amanda says fuck no, and honestly, I don't blame her. You paid for this, Mike. Let her enjoy her 12 hours of overwhelming pleasure. Even when she rolls off of him, she's still moaning with residual pleasure. Mike lays back and looks at the gum on the ceiling that they always joke about, but Amanda's still too busy coming to notice it. The next morning, she is out. I can only imagine what kind of crash you'd have after a night like that. But she can't sleep any longer. It's 11 a.m. and they gotta check out.
I guess Lux is over then.
And sits up looking kinda sad. After that 12-hour pleasure overload, life's gonna feel kinda dull. Nothing's gonna feel good or make her happy for a little while at least. Mike returns to work to find Shane and his other coworkers laughing and pointing at him as he walks in. When he walks into the break room, the one guy in there leaves as soon as he sees that it's Mike. What's going on? But then he sees the answer right in front of his face. Someone, obviously Shane, took a screenshot of him when he was maskless and wearing his red pleasure glove on Dumb Dummies, then printed it out and posted it on the office bulletin board. Hold on a second, check out that sticker below his picture. It's literally foreshadowing what's about to happen to Shane. Mike almost throws up. He tears it down and goes outside to confront Shane, who tells him if you're gonna live by the sword, you're gonna die by it, man. Mike swings on him, missing the first time, but then connecting and choking him out, saying it's not so funny now, is it?
Give us a fucking giggle!
But his coworkers break it up.
Piss-drinking motherfucker!
Mike tries to charge him again, and Shane flinches, falling backwards right as a giant piece of machinery is driving by and runs over his leg. Shane screams in pain on the ground as Mike turns and walks away. He gets home from work way earlier than usual and tells Amanda he got fired.
What?
Mike says he fucked up and doesn't want to talk about it, but this presents a huge issue going forward. Amanda's literally sitting at the table doing their bills, and their main source of income just got cut off, so she clearly wants to talk about this. How are they going to keep her alive and ad-free? If she runs ads, she's going to lose her job, and then they won't even be able to afford the common subscription. Mike doesn't have an answer, but he has to believe it'll work out, because if not, he's got to face the fact he's going to lose his wife for a second time, and it's his fault. He says they can go to Rivermind and plead their case. Maybe they can do something to help him out since they've been such long-time, loyal customers. And Amanda chooses to believe that too.
She knows us. Yeah.
Hope is all they have left, but Gaynor doesn't sugarcoat it. I'm afraid not. And she's wearing the darkest color she's worn all episode, as she basically sentences Amanda to death. And she does it with no emotion whatsoever. It's like she's ordering a coffee. Amanda tries to plead with her, saying she's gonna lose her job if they don't stay on Plus. But Gaynor interrupts to correct her, saying that Plus is now standard.
Please!
Mike says all they need is a little credit until he gets another job, but Gaynor says her hands are completely tied. The system won't even let her input it if she tried. Mike says they have a little bit of baby money left that they were saving, and Gaynor asks if they're trying to get pregnant, or if they're currently pregnant.
Pregnancy cost extra.
Mike and Amanda look like they're ready to hop over that desk and give her a 3D through it. Gaynor says your brain requires so much more processing when you're pregnant, it costs an extra $90 a month.
No! Fuck you!
Mike's had enough, and honestly, I'm shocked it took him this long. Gaynor immediately pulls her phone out, maxes out her nonchalance, and happily sighs. 1 year passes and it's their anniversary again. The Rivermind payment was due a few days ago, so hopefully Mike paid it. He pours himself some coffee in a kitchen full of dirty dishes, and then adds some liquor to it to make it taste better. Mike opens the front door to a gothic couple who came to buy the crib they're finally selling. The baby money's gone, and they can barely afford to keep Amanda alive, so they're finally giving up on their dream to be parents. But at least the crib is going to a young couple who will put it to good use, and that makes Mike feel a little better. He tells them good luck with the baby, but they say there is no baby. They're setting the crib on fire for a music video. Just the perfect metaphor for their dream of having a kid. Going up in flames. Mike can't help but laugh, and it reveals he's missing one of his front teeth. And that gives us a pretty good idea of how they've gotten by over the last year. Selling anything they have of value, and Mike doing sick shit online. He goes back inside to wake Amanda up, and she looks like she's had a rough year. I mean, she hasn't had an easy year since the accident. which is really annoying when you think about all the money they've spent and everything they've had to go through to get it. She wishes him a happy anniversary, and before she falls back to sleep, he asks her to go outside with him. And that's when he gives her a Rivermind Lux gift card, good for 30 minutes. It's all he could afford. She asks how he paid for it, reminding him he promised not to do any more of that tooth stuff. He said it was a private buyer from Dumb Dummies, but a specialist thing. Amanda scans the card, Mike maxes out her serenity, and she slips into bliss as she looks around outside, smiling and appreciating nature on a level that would normally require hallucinogens.
I think it's time.
Amanda says it's time. Mike doesn't want to lose her, but he knows that she knows what's best for her, and says only if she's sure about it.
I'm sure.
Mike gives her a kiss on the hand and says okay. Amanda takes a deep breath,
Do it when I'm not here.
and Mike just begins to cry on her shoulder. Oh fuck, this would kill me. I'd like to say I'd find a way, and I honestly believe if I was in his shoes that I would, but you can't just go out and risk your life, because if you really love this person, you're risking both of your lives. If you get killed or go to jail, what happens to the person that you loved so much that you were willing to risk everything? They either die or spend eternity sleeping and reciting ads. There's no way I could live with myself letting her live like that. Mike takes Amanda back inside and lays her down on the bed, making sure she's comfortable. There's 10 seconds left. They say I love you to each other for the last time, and Mike gives her a kiss as the time expires.
Are you filled with dread?
Not
Let
yet.
the sunshine in.
Amanda jumps right into an ad for an antidepressant pill, and Mike begins to cry, begging for more time, but there is none. He grabs a pillow, covers her face, and holds it down as Amanda continues with her ad read. You can hear her talking through the pillow as Mike cries and tries to press it down tighter. He needs to make sure she dies before the ad read ends so Amanda doesn't experience it. He says I love you and presses the pillow down as hard as he can. Amanda begins to choke and her legs start kicking for a moment before stopping completely. Mike falls to the side of the bed and cries. He knows he did the right thing, but it still makes him sick. He hugs her arm one last time, gets up, and walks out of the bedroom, leaving his wife behind with the pillow still over her face. He walks into his office with Dumb Dummies already pulled up on his computer and closes the door with a box cutter in his hand. Fuck, this episode gets me every time. Ugh, why'd you guys have to pick this one? I had to hug my wife after writing this, just kissed her while I was recording it, and will probably need several more of both during the entire editing process. I hate to think about what I would have to do in that position. Actually, fuck that. I know what I would do. We wouldn't be in this situation because if I learned anything from Pet Sematary, sometimes dead is better. If Mike let Amanda die after her accident, like she should have, it would have been hard, but he would have grieved and eventually gotten over it and gone on to live a normal life. There's no way he can go on to live a normal life after this, and the ending makes that point in a very obvious way. But even without that last scene, we know there's no way you come back from that. He would have been better off without Rivermind. I pray the world never comes to this, but it's scary how possible it is. However, there's one thing about this episode that I don't think I've seen anybody point out yet. It only magnified all the bad things and never showed any of the good times they had together except for the very beginning. There were huge time jumps all throughout the episode, and they only highlighted the negative parts of their lives, but you know there had to be some good times sprinkled in there. They left those out on purpose to make the story hit harder and make it seem more hopeless. Like no matter how hard they tried, they just couldn't win. But there were definitely some good times off screen, especially in the beginning before they started cutting privileges and raising prices. Also, one more cool fun fact about the episode. Rashida Jones originally hated the ending and called it mean, but later, after reading it a few times, came to understand the reasoning behind it. Providing death with dignity, rather than allowing someone else to live in pain, is an act of love in itself. Also, just in case you didn't know, Rashida Jones and Tracy Ellis Ross have been friends with each other since they were kids. They grew up together because both their parents were famous musicians, Quincy Jones and Diana Ross. When Black Mirror's creator Charlie Brooker asked them if they wanted to do this episode together, they both agreed before knowing anything about the story. They were just excited to work together again. And while this is a dark-ass story, you know the two of them had fun on set while they were filming, especially Tracy playing Gaynor, who gets to drop those insanely insensitive lines to her dying friend who she's trying to bleed dry and take advantage of. Anyways, that was my common people breakdown. And thank you to everybody who voted on the poll for me to do this episode. I actually still can't believe how many people voted. It's so cool to be able to get immediate feedback like that. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you made it this far, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. Got a lot more coming up. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.